Hi, everyone. Good, Steve? So, hi, thanks for your patience today. Today is always a difficult day, and really the worst day of the season, which is, it should feel that way when you don't meet expectations. And today's certainly one of those days. We're in the results business here, and we didn't get results, and we haven't met expectations. And as a head coach, I take responsibility for that. You have a team that has expectations and has goals in mind, and you don't reach them, it's not a good feeling. My job as a head coach is to find solutions and chart a path ahead for the group to come through and to succeed at the most important time of year. And we haven't done that. I do feel a year ago, took a step in the right direction as a group. I love the resolve that we showed in this series, Game 5 and 6 in particular, to give us a chance to compete in Game 7. But clearly that's not enough, and that sits with me. With that, I'll take questions.
Sheldon, a bit of a different one here, but on a day like today, when it's, I presume, exit meetings with players and coaches, what is the advantage of that? Like, what do you learn? What do you glean? What's the value in all these meetings?
I think each season is different, and I've gone about it different ways in different seasons. A lot of times you take the direction of the general manager on how they want to handle it. In the past, I've done it with the general manager. I've done it separately. Times I haven't done it. This season in particular, Tree gave me the option to have meetings with players. In the past, his coaches haven't. I elected to not have them today. For myself personally, I went more casual interactions around the facility here today, and seeing guys off and sort of opening the door for more meaningful conversations in the off season, which to me is really what it's about. These ones, I think, because the season ends so quickly, there's not a lot of value to get out of the exit meetings. From the general manager's perspective, it's more so about giving direction on off-season and training and what's going to happen, all those sorts of things. I think it's more of a formality that a lot of teams do, but for me, it's more just kind of feeling your way through. I spoke with the team after the game, after the loss the other night, more so than I have in any season in the past, and let them know how I felt about the team and about the group. But this is as I said earlier, and as I opened with, not a good day, and not a lot of productive things get done today. But the chance to see the guys off and like I said, open the door for more meaningful discussions later on.
Sheldon, do you see any through line between the lack of the offense, playoffs after playoffs, or is it individual series?
The way you opened the question, I missed it.
Do you see any through line with the lack of offense, playoff after playoff, year after year?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things with it. We look at this a lot, and it's still fresh and things happen quick, but you reflect on it and discuss it. I think in each of those playoffs, you look at some of the opportunities missed, and you wonder why. Times when clean chances, breakaways, 2-on-1s, rebounds in tight, those types of things that tend to go in for you in the regular season, and now they're not. I think as a coach, it's more so how can you help your players through that, but also how can you generate more of it. I don't think we generated enough of those. Certainly more than what we did, what we executed on. But again, this season we face a goaltender at the other end that is putting up top numbers in the league, and of course that's part on the goaltender and the team that you're playing against and the job that they do defensively. But my job as a coach is to find more ways to get through to that.
Sheldon, you had mentioned on Saturday night that the opponent will set up games for the Leafs to beat themselves. games 3 and 4 in this series. What has made it challenging to counter that?
Well, I think first off, in that comment that I made, it's what I'm talking about is a team that basically sits back in structure and forces you to come through them and waiting for you to make mistakes and force the issue and force the game and be impatient. I think that's a common theme and strategy around the league, is to be able to capitalize and play in transition and limit mistakes. So I don't think we're unique in that sense in terms of how teams game plan against us, but certainly, the ways to counter it for me are things that we discussed all series, getting through the neutral zone quickly before structure's set, capitalizing on line changes and progressions and sequencing, things that allow you to play when you're not against structure. And then when we are, finding ways to charge through it and get through the neutral zone, get to the net, get to the spend time in the offensive zone, but get on the inside. And I thought as the series wore on, not just in our series, but even if you look around the league, the later the series have gone on, offense seems to be harder to come by. Early in the series, we had no issues with that. We were generating lots. We were leading the league in interslot shots and rebounds, and we were getting lots of pucks in there in the first few games of the series. Those dried up later on in the series, yet we were also playing way better defensively ourselves and didn't necessarily need as much offense to win games. Game 5 and 6 as examples. I think the level of patience that we showed in those games is ultimately what it takes to win in the playoffs. And that's, to me, is why it's most disappointing to not get it done in Game 7, because, again, we're right there. You're one shot away from getting through, and then quickly the narrative changes to now the Leafs have figured out how to play tight games, win tight games, come from behind, show fight, all these sorts of things that you're excited about. I come out of Game 6 feeling about as good about the Toronto Maple Leafs as I've felt in this position. And that was because of how we were playing and how the group had come together. So, to not get it done in Game 7 is quite disappointing, but in terms of the strategy itself, I think, the line that I talked to the players about is it takes what it takes, and we've got a group of 20 players that, when committed to playing as a group, can have success. And, we have to be able to stick with that and trust that for the long haul.
Sheldon, can appreciate you saying that you take responsibility for what happened. I'm just wondering, what form does that take next? What happens next for you?
Well, for me, it's looking for solutions, continuing to work, build upon the things that I just discussed. To me, this series that we just finished is as I'm saying here, the most that are the best that I've felt about our group in terms of its ability to perform and come through in playoffs and play a playoff type of game. I think different parts here and there in previous years, we've done that. We obviously found a way to win a series last year, but there was a lot about our process when we won that series against Tampa that wasn't great. Where we came up big in big moments. We won overtime games. We tied games late. Special teams were good. Like lots of things like that helped us through that series. But in terms of our process and our buy-in, the physicality, the defending, the patience that we showed throughout this series, that's, to me, is the recipe. And again, it takes what it takes. And I again feel like our group took big steps in that direction. And that's something for us to build upon, while also continuing to search for solutions both at 5-on-5 and on special teams.
Morgan Riley was saying how bad he feels for being on the ice for Pasternak's series-ending goal. From your perspective, where did the breakdown or breakdowns happen that led to that goal?
Well, obviously, first off, I haven't spent a tremendous amount of time going through it. I have seen it, but when it's over, it doesn't do a lot of good. I'm not going to change anything here in these short days, but. Obviously we get their best player flying through the neutral zone, and we don't pick him up coming through. So that's a challenge. And it's a tough one because I actually thought we had done a tremendous job through the neutral zone in defending with structure through the series. Games 5 and 6 in particular, I thought was probably the best that we've been all season long in that regard. And on that one, we didn't pick it up and got a tough bounce and didn't get a save.
Sheldon, given the opening remarks were strong, what is your level of expectation that you will have an opportunity to see this through next season?
Sorry, Terry, I couldn't hear the end of your question.
Yeah, your opening statements were quite strong about not moving on and everything, your responsibility. To what level of expectation do you have that you will get a chance to see this through next season or have another kick at it?
So, I'm in the coaching business, and when you're in the coaching business, you don't get to make decisions about your position. So for me, it's out of my control. My job is to find solutions and help direct and create a path for our team to continue to move forward, and that's my focus. I understand that ownership and management, they make those types of decisions. As I said, I accept responsibility for not meeting results. I believe in myself greatly. I love coaching the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now more than ever, I believe in myself and our team, and that I will win and our team will win. I've been through a lot, as a coach in my career, and to get to this level, and I've won a lot, before coming here. And the path always looks different, but you learn along the way, and I've learned a lot through my experience, and I know I'm in a good place. That decision's out of my control. My job is to continue to work to find solutions and continue to improve as a coach, and then at the same time, take accountability for the fact that we haven't met expectations. And the decisions like you're alluding to are out of my control, but I certainly would like the attention and focus to be on me as the head coach or the leader, and you got to be accountable when you don't meet expectations.
Yeah, Sheldon, what, obviously the other team's goalie and penalty kill has a lot to do with it, but just the way that your power play, I think in February was clicking so well, and then it kind of started struggling to the point that 1 for 21 in the series. How perplexing was that to you, and was it an X's and O's thing, or was it an execution thing, or a combination of both? Yeah,
I mean, as you mentioned, February, I think we're number 1 in the NHL in the power play, and we're clipping along at a real high rate, which we've been. We've been for years. We've been a top power play in the league. Power play, as I had mentioned, was really good in the Tampa series a year ago and helped us in the playoffs. But otherwise, like our overall offensive game in the playoffs hasn't met expectations and hasn't delivered for us, hasn't executed. So was it perplexing? We spend a lot of time searching for answers. The fact that it has been good and has come through and has looked elite at times, obviously you go to that and you want to build trust towards that. It's difficult to do when things don't go well, as we were talking with our power play about through the series, especially as we showed the type of resolve that we did later in the series to keep our season alive. To me, that came through trust. Players trusting in the plan, going out and executing and giving absolutely everything that they have to execute that plan. And to me, that's why we were able to find our way back in the series. And I think the power play is no different. Like, the skill is there. Throughout this season, we tried different things. We moved different things around. Through the series, we moved things around and tried many different iterations to what the first unit looked like. Some of it by design, some of it because players were in and out of our lineup. But ultimately, it comes down to execution. It comes down to competitiveness, winning little puck battles and winning face-offs, and then trusting, and staying with it. And that becomes harder to do, as that number starts to grow. But again, the way that the team showed belief in the plan at 5-on-5, we needed that to come through in the power play. And frankly, in Game 7, the power play was good in Game 7. We just didn't put the puck over the line, which was the same story in Game 2 and 3. So the big number, if you focus on that, it's it's not good, and clearly. But there's times there where the process was in place, and the process can work. You got to be able to beat the goaltender ultimately, and that is the missing piece. So that's the hurdle there.
Sheldon, Mitch has taken heat in this market from time to time, perhaps now more than ever. I'm just wondering what you make of that and what he means to this group now and moving forward.
Mitch is an exceptional player and wants to win. And wants to win here in Toronto. And, I think, there's things that he did in the series that really helped us have success, set us up for success, took on some tough roles, really helped stabilize our penalty killing, get our penalty killing going later in the series. There's things that Mitch Marner does, that don't show up on the score sheet that are really important to our team. Obviously, our entire team needs to score more, needs to come through at key times, and that's a big part of it. But as I said, my job as a coach is to help our entire team, including Mitch, to come through in those moments, and I failed to do so, and I'll take responsibility for that.